Hey, it's Fred Staab for Cruise Control. Welcome to our interview with Corvette product manager Harlan Charles, talking about the world's fastest factory Corvette, the E-Ray. It's all-wheel drive and a hybrid. Don't forget to check out our live stream here on our YouTube page every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We are streaming live with 2 hours of great automotive information, at the wheel reviews, and more. And also, if you have not done so already, we really appreciate it if you subscribe to the Cruise Control YouTube page. It really helps us out. Well, I have to say, I am jealous of you. You got to look at the E-Ray this week.
I sure did.
And
Went all over it.
And it is a beautiful vehicle. Some cool colors. I really think that some of the colors are going to be really, really cool. Going to surprise people. There's also a dipped interior. I don't know. Did yours have that? It was sort of a green interior. It's going to be 1 year only.
Yeah, because this was that green outside color.
That's neat.
Which is a beautiful color. I really like it.
Yeah.
And again, I was mentioning briefly that we figured with the electric motor and all the batteries and stuff, there won't be any frunk.
That was my biggest question. I was going to ask Harlan, who will be coming up. He's actually with us right now. If he wants to come in before the break,
there he is.
But that was my biggest question: is the frunk gone, or is it functional? A functional frunk?
It appeared to be a normal frunk.
Totally functional.
Fully functional. Yeah. There you go. Hey, Harlan.
Well, that's hey. You would know, wouldn't you, Harlan? No, I was. I really enjoyed it. It sat there, and I kept being drawn to it. Like you are to a really nice dish of ice cream occasionally, where you just have to have it. And I just thought, man, this thing is a great idea. Plus, it's beautifully executed. You guys outdid yourselves.
Yeah, a lot of great engineering. It really is. And Harlan, of course, is going to be back with us after the break. We got a couple of minutes before the break, though. This has been in development for a while, Harlan. I mean, I guess the C8 was designed for it when it was first built, right?
Yeah, well, one of the advantages, of course, we wanted to do the mid-engine Corvette for a long time. And one of the advantages we saw to it would enable a car like this to be possible. Plus, with our center structure, our torque tube, we used to call it, now it's an empty tube. We were able to fill that up with batteries for this application.
So
what that reminded me of was the EV1.
With the center tunnel with batteries in it.
That was 26 lead acid batteries in the center box. I like that.
Yeah, didn't go with the lead acid batteries this time.
No.
No, I'm just shocked at the quarter mile times, Harlan. I mean, this thing it's like a super gas car. It's actually faster than a super gas car in the drag racing world.
Yeah, that's the advantage, with the all-wheel drive, and then with the electric motor up front, it's full torque right away. So it makes this thing launch, where you feel like your stomach's a block behind you, when you go. So 0 to 60 in 2.5, it's the fastest accelerating Corvette ever from 0 to 60 as well.
Now, did you ever think you'd be building an all-wheel drive Corvette, and those guys that take the Silverado body off and mount a C3 on top of the chassis, that doesn't count as an all-wheel drive. But did you ever think you'd build an all-wheel drive Corvette in your career?
Well, yeah, that was always kind of a dream. If you remember, Zora Arcastone created the first all-wheel drive mid-engine concept Corvette, the Serve 2, back in 1964. So it took us a while, but we made it. We finally have an all-wheel drive mid-engine Corvette, and the funny thing is that was an incredible 2.8 second 0 to 60 car back then, and in the street production car, we're able to beat that with this one. So we've come a long way.
And that's tire technology of that era.
Right.
what that would do with today's tire technology. So, man,
Pretty neat stuff.
well, we need to steal the keys to that thing. By the way, Harlan, is that your garage, or are,
Yeah, it's a
or
nice.
Yeah, I spent a few. I kind of spruced it up a little bit
that's
for you
very
guys
nice.
today.
Yeah,
It's got a nice lineage right there. You can't get older or
that's
newer, so that's
exactly right.
perfect.
Well, that was January 17th. That picture, and that's the anniversary, 70 years from the introduction of the first Corvette. Motorama in New York.
Wow.
We have the E-Ray now, the Corvette E-Ray being introduced the same day, 70 years later. Oh, look at you! You got the video going.
That's
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 awesome.
I love the
yeah,
guy. The test bicycle wheel was on the back of that first
yeah.
shot there. Just kind
And
of.
you notice his head is above the windshield.
Yeah, that would be a problem. That would be a problem today, but pretty cool. Very cool. I remember um, the announcer said in that one of those videos, "Man, what a car!" I also like the poverty hubcaps on that one. That's pretty cool. But we've got plenty of pictures of the new E-Ray actually up on our website, so you want to check those out, and up on our Facebook page at Cruise Control Radio. So you want to check that out. Harlan, we're just getting started with you, so we've got a lot of questions from people that have sent it in, and just want to talk a little bit about the development of the vehicle. We're going to take a break here, and I hope people will stick with us, because I tell you what, we're just getting into it. It's an
Oh yeah.
exciting time. I think it's been mostly positive, although some people are a little, I don't know, shocked. But I think this way, if you can get 160 horsepower and all-wheel drive and really not give anything up, it's a pretty good deal. But we're going to take that conversation when we come back on Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staab. The other guy's Les Jackson, and this guy is Harlan Charles. We will be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We had none other than Harlan Charles, and people have been getting up around the world to listen to you, Harlan.
That's great. Good morning, everybody.
All right, and we dialed in Harlan's audio a little bit better for you all, so that's great. Well, we talked about a little bit about where the batteries go in this vehicle, and Les answered the one of the many questions I wanted to ask you about, the Frunk. The Frunk in the front of the E-Ray. Now, of course, there's an electric motor and some other stuff that has to go into the E-Ray to make it work, but that does not really impact the Frunk, does it?
Yeah, that's correct. You still maintain the two trunks that make the Corvette a great road trip car. And because the electric motor is so compact, it actually packages rearward of where the trunk space would be. So it's kind of space that you wouldn't use anyway. So it's great.
No compromise there, Les. And I think some people were a little bit. They had to scratch their heads, like, why are you building a hybrid Corvette? But a lot of people should realize hybrids are great performers. They are great.
They are.
Just great vehicles all the way around. And I think some people were surprised, but I think once they drive it, they're going to be really happy. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we wanted to, electrification's the future, and talking to sports car customers, this is really the best of both worlds. You get to keep the legendary small block V8 that we all know and love for Corvette, the sounds and everything that people love, and we added this electric motor for all-wheel drive that powers the front, and you really get a lot of the benefits. We talked about the acceleration. We talk about the handling and the way it can be a canyon carver and cut through the corners, and you get that added torque fill as you're driving, as well as the all-wheel drive capability that makes it a all-year-round car. and you don't have to plug it in. You don't have to worry about finding charging stations or anything like that. It's just you can just fill it up like you normally do with Corvettes and enjoy all the benefits.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And uh, you have a couple of unique things going on with the colors. I know that you've kind of gone away from the red, black, white, blue. You've gotten a little bit more creative with the color palettes. One of them, I believe, comes from none other than the Chevy Spark. Is that right? It's the
Well,
green. I don't know what the name
oh,
of it.
the cacti green. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a grayish green. It is used in some of the other Chevys, but it's a different look. We actually have an interior called Artemis that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of this greenish gray leather, and it's something a little different. Again, this car we think is a good opportunity to get you know, not only the existing Corvette customers, but a new customer. In the past, when you wanted to move up from Stingray, we've had more track-oriented machines, and this is a little bit more towards the luxury GT side. And it really, that's why we've done the body color, as you see in the video. We made all the accents body color. It gives it a more sophisticated, again, more of the, if you look at sports cars, you can have like the Z06, which is basically a street legal race car that you can drive. And we go to this way is more towards the luxury GT side, although very fast. Again, we've talked about it being the quickest Corvette ever and gives you all the performance you want, but it does it in a more sophisticated, refined way. So it makes it a great all-around Corvette for road use, all weather, driving across the country, things like that.
Back for a moment, Harlan, with the hybridness of the car.
Is that a word?
Well, I just made it up, but um, what are we? Obviously, being a hybrid, it's actually going to be a very fuel efficient Corvette. They already are fuel efficient for their power, but now you can brag about some serious mileage.
Yeah, we don't have the EPA testing yet, but there are some mileage advantages, like you said. First of all, even the Stingray gets great fuel economy, but this allows us to extend the active fuel management. That's the fancy word we use for when it goes into four-cylinder mode. When the V8 can now kick into the four-cylinder mode when you're cruising around and stay there longer because you're getting the extra assist from the electric motor. So it helps
Yeah,
you
I
save
mean, this
fuel.
is cool.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. And we had one of the questions from the live stream, Harlan, was about what about adaptive cruise control, automatic stop, and other safety features? Will all 2024 Corvettes get these features, including Z06?
Well, we have a few new features that we're introducing with E-Ray that will go on to the other models, like the following distance indicator, forward collision alert, the lane change and lane keep assist monitors, things like that are going to be new for Corvette, and also automatic emergency braking.
Yeah, that I think that will be great, definitely. And then another question: some people said, "Hey, I've been waiting for my Corvette." Of course, the whole industry has had a rough time with chips and supplies and things like that. They wondered, will adding a new model create problems for their orders or other orders in the future? I guess.
Well, I don't think it's going to create any additional problems. We know, it's an industry-wide thing, really, and it came right in the middle of our Z06 launch. Z06 specifically, with its carbon fiber options, aero packages, and things like that, have unique issues with. We're working on improving our carbon fiber supply right now, so we can crank up the Z06 a little bit more this year. So we're just going to have to work through those issues, obviously, but and it's everybody be patient. Once everybody gets their car, you're happy. So
And
that's
the
what we're trying to do: get everybody their car as soon as we can. But unfortunately, it's taking longer.
Yeah, and the good thing is, I mean, we're going to do a story next hour on Cruise Control about the whole chip shortage is really easing. They had a shot of another manufacturer's, holding area where they were holding vehicles that needed more chips, and it's now empty. There were thousands of vehicles there. It's now empty, so it's freeing up, and it sounds like that will be a good deal for future ordering and that. And I understand some people are even paying MSRP or less for certain vehicles, so it's great for the auto industry. How would you ID an E-Ray if it was going down the road, Harlan? How would it look different than a Stingray?
Oh, well, that's a great question. So first of all, it has the wider track and tire sizes that the Z06 uses, but it has its own unique wheels, own unique wheel design. They're exclusive, the 5-spoke wheels. And then also it has the body color is standard, so all the body color accents. But it does have, as opposed to the Z06, the corner exit exhaust because it maintains the small block LT2 versus the center exhaust from the Z06. And we do have some cool badging, obviously the E-Ray on the side. And we created a new Electric Ray logo for the deck. As you know, there's the Stingray, and there is an actual real creature called an Electric Ray.
Really?
And we shortened it to the E-Ray. But, when I found that out, we were always looking for names and things like that, and we thought if we ever do electrification on Corvette, that would be a great name. So we actually trademarked it back in 2015 in anticipation for if and when this would happen.
That's something that, Les, we talk about a lot to Team Corvette,
Yeah.
how far in advance you have to think about these things for things like this, to get that settled and squared away for future vehicles. Got another question here about stealth mode, and we've got a little bit of just about a minute before the break. So I'm going to hold that to the next segment of Cruise Control. But certainly, Harlan, we'll need you to explain stealth mode to us. And this question will be about, can it be re-engaged after initial startup, and what's the process? So that's a question from one of our live stream listeners or viewers. When we come back, more with Harlan Charles, more about the E-Ray. We're just getting started on Cruise Control, so stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Harlan Charles, Corvette product manager, is with us. Before the break, we were talking about stealth mode. What is stealth mode? And we had a question about engaging it and re-engaging it. Can it be re-engaged after you get out of the stealth mode, I guess?
Well, stealth mode is really designed just for startup, and it actually is a way you can run for a small small distances at under 45 miles an hour in electric only, to exit your neighborhood or go through residential area at low speeds. And then when you get past a certain either throttle position or need more power, or if the charge starts running down, it fires up the V8 and it goes. So it's only at startup in order to maintain things like climate control, air conditioning, heat, and things like that once you get going.
And the question was, can it switch back? Can you switch back to it? Like, let's say you left your neighborhood in stealth mode, you went into the regular mode, and then you want to come back quietly. Can you do that?
You could, but you'd have to kind of reignition, restart.
Okay.
You could do a restart.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so it's booting up a
You have to
sequence.
like reboot it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like reboot it. Okay.
But still, I can't imagine too many circumstances where you'd really need to or want to re-engage stealth after you're out on the road. You know, you've gone through the quiet area.
Right.
Um, but
Eh,
anyway,
Well,
uh,
I mean, why I think many cars are louder when you start them up because they're trying to light off the
yeah,
catalytic converters and that. And you know the current Stingray it's a little loud when you start it, and then it kind of lowers down in volume level. So maybe that's what the stealth mode is for, Harlan. What you would be better to talk about. It gets a little noisier when you start it, and then it I think it's just to light off the catalytic converters, and then it quiets down.
Yeah, it's funny because some of the engineers who weren't used to working on Corvettes, when they saw this, they go, "Oh, we're sorry, it's kind of hard to keep it, seamless." They wanted like this seamless transition for the electric mode into the, when the engine fires. Were like, "No, you want to hear that throaty engine start, and it's a Corvette. You want to hear that V8, celebrate it." And you actually see it on the gauge cluster. We have like a special cluster for the stealth mode, which shows the speed, and it can monitor it. If you want to stay in there for a little while and not start the engine, you can see where it would start, and then once it starts, it does a transformation back into the traditional Corvette gauges. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
okay. Well, yeah, the thinking on that I think is correct. The average Corvette owner wants it to let him or her or the neighbors know it's a Corvette. It's not a VW Beetle.
There's also that cool little shake of a Corvette when it starts, that in a good way, that it's like
Yeah.
it comes to life like you've just woken up a sleeping giant and he's like, "What? You want me to get up?" But
Absolutely. It's kind of like, the Incredible Hulk. Once this car is kind of
There you
mild
go.
mannered, but once it gets angry, it's still a Corvette.
it's still a Corvette. It's still a Corvette. When will we see this in dealerships? Has that been announced?
We haven't announced the exact timing, but it's a 2024 model, so it'll be, out this year.
And this is this what I would say would be a pretty available model, right? It's not going to be kind of a constrained model.
Yeah, I mean, all Corvettes, we have, some constraint, obviously, with our one factory and everything. But yeah, the idea is to build to customers' orders as always. Obviously, we're not always successful there, but we do the best we can.
Yeah, but
And the good news is we have a lot of demand, obviously.
yeah, I mean the
Oh, sure.
whole going to the C8 generation has been huge for the brand, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's really it's been great because it's really been good for both of our things. We wanted to excite, our longtime loyal customers with the car they've been waiting for. And then the even better thing is we're getting a whole new generation interested in Corvette. And I think the E-Ray will take that even one step further now with the technology, the electrification and sophistication of that might open up the Corvette to those that wouldn't have considered before, just thinking it's just a street legal race car. Really, now though, this is a sports car that does a lot of things well.
Yeah. Also, as I said before, there's no compromise on this car as far as with storage or anything like that. And we always say, Harlan, Les and I, that one of the things people say about electric cars or electrified cars is, "Oh, they must be slow." And it's like, where'd you get that from? You've never driven one
Just
because,
drive one.
yeah,
Right.
even a standard hybrid version of a vehicle will chirp the tires when you stand on it because it's instant on power. There's no like discussion. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the interesting about this car, once people finally get to drive it, is the incredible software integration, because you really have two separate systems. You have the electric motor, with the front wheels. You have our traditional small block V8 that we love powering the rear wheels, and how they were able to have them feed off each other as kind of a team, to get the torque when you want it, the power when you want it. I mean, that was really the big challenge, is integrating those systems together, and that's what people are really going to love about it.
Is there a difference in the warranty on the E-Ray?
No difference.
My question to you, Harlan, is I noticed in some of the press material that you actually use the sound of the motor in conjunction with the engine, and to kind of make this little symphony of both an electric motor and the V8. Talk a little bit about that. How are you using that motor sound? Does it have a specific sound when it's in electric only mode too? I know you have to, but what is that like?
Yeah, there's actually sort of a signature sound we did for the electric only that was Corvette specific, that we wanted to sound kind of cool. But when you're driving, you can maybe subtly hear some of the EV motor, but the V8 really starts to take over when you start getting on it. That you can't fight the small block and that sound, that signature sound. That's really going to be the dominant one. So if anybody's concerned, it sounds like a Corvette for sure.
Yeah, that's sometimes a concern for people.
Yeah.
Less, they're like, I don't want my Corvette to be too quiet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Really, this is a huge development for the vehicle. It's beautiful. I love the blue. What's the name of the blue? The one that's behind you in your garage there?
Oh yeah, that's the Riptide blue. And we talked about the cacti green. We also have this new Sea Wolf gray, which is a tri-coat. That's pretty cool. And then our fourth show car we showed was a silver flare car with a new racing stripe we have called Electric Blue. That you see in some of the videos as well.
Yeah, that stripe.
Yeah, there's the one right there. Yep.
That stripe looks great.
Notice that.
Yeah. The stripe package looks great. It really does.
Somehow, are we going to see something like this at Lemans? Is that likely?
You mean in racing?
Racing at Lemans.
Well, I don't know yet, because we're still like in Corvette, we're transitioning to GT3, in the future with the also we have GTT Daytona, which is IMSA, which is moving towards that, and we're going to have actually a GT3 race car that you could actually buy yourself and race. So we can get, private teams in racing Corvettes. So that's exciting. And the high end of Le Mans, they're starting to go to the LMDH, which is, like you said, kind of a hybrid system. So that's kind of the thing we do like about this as well. There is a connection to racing technology, with the adding the electrification. You see that in Formula One as well. So it's not out of touch with high-end sports cars. You're seeing Ferrari, McLaren coming out with those. But what they've done, which I think we differ, they're V6s and they're rear drive. We kept our V8 and went all-wheel drive.
One more question from our viewers and listeners. Someone asked, will there be different spoilers available for the E-Ray, and would the Z06 or a Z06-like spoiler be part of or be an option for the E-Ray?
Well, from the factory, you basically get the spoiler. We just have the one that you're seeing. But if you get we call it the ZER package, which has the PS4S, basically the Z06 level tires on it, it'll have the taller wickers to use for the track on there. And then we'll have a carbon accessory spoiler available as well.
How do you keep all these things straight in your head? There's so many of colors and availabilities. Like, yeah, but if you order that, you have to swap out to the it's what you do.
That's what I do.
Yeah, and you have to decide whether to do it or not.
Right. I know. So it's the you got to balance. Like a lot of people think, oh, it's getting so complicated. But then the same person that complains about being complicated will say, well, why can't I get this with this? Whatever combination we don't have, is somebody figures it out and asks for it. So
yeah,
it's always the balance between having a lot of combinations to get the customers what they want, and not being too complex that people can't figure out what they want.
When do you get your driver for you? Because you always, I know you are a one-man promotion machine for the Corvette, and typically you always drive the newest model.
Yeah, well, we'll probably do our saleable cars, that we call our test manufacturing validation builds later this year, probably late spring into the summer, and so probably around then. But I'm totally enjoying the Z06 I have now.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, you got to go with the older model. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
I'll have
Well,
to make do.
Make
Yeah.
do.
It's a shame that you have to endure so much hardship.
Yes. What
Take
was
one
it?
for the team.
What was it like? Did you do any calibration drives where you drove this on snow or ice?
Oh yeah, total. We did we went up to Upper Peninsula. We do have an ice track. It's Kenchlow. It used to be an Air Force base
Oh
up
yeah.
there, and there's a big ice track, and we were doing like drift stuff I've never done before, especially in a Corvette, where we drifted around a circle of ice and snow, and we were driving it around snowmobile trails. There was actually snowmobiles there, and they saw these Corvettes driving through, and they're like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" It was
How is
the
that
car's really
Corvette getting
amazing
through this
on
trail?
surfaces and even inclines where you wouldn't think you could get up there. And even with the new all-season tires that it has, I think it's really going to surprise people how capable this car is at getting around even in pretty bad weather.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, so for our listeners, people want to go, and there's an actual visualizer up, right, for the E-Ray?
Yeah, you go to Corvette.com or Chevrolet.com. There's the visualizers up. You've been great at showing all the pictures and videos. A lot of those are up there, and you can get on and really design your own E-Ray right now. Pick your colors and options and wheels. We have 4 different aluminum wheels. You can even get the carbon fiber wheel option
Wow.
as well. So and again, you can just have a lot of fun on there. So make sure
Man.
everybody checks that out.
Well, we haven't done it in the last couple of years, but it would be great to get down to Carlisle. Hope you guys are going. I guess you
Yeah.
might not know that yet, but it looks like the E-Ray would be part of the show. It sounds like from what you were saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, good deal. Harlan, we appreciate
That is
you
good.
joining us on Cruise Control. We'll have to have you back, as always. Maybe we'll even make it down to Corvettes at Carlisle. So, thanks for being part of Cruise Control, and we'll see you
Thanks
down
for
the road.
having me.